Hello everyone and welcome to the Tank Club. In this video we're going to be talking about tanking as a vampire in the Blackwood chapter. You might remember my previous video where I talked about why you shouldn't become a vampire tank, and there are absolutely no benefits in doing so. Well, the major change for Blackwood is not a change to vampire itself, but it's the addition of the new Rockgrove trial. If you're not going to be doing Rockgrove on veteran, or more importantly on hard mode, then you don't really need to worry or consider being a vampire. I still have the same opinion of vampire as a tank, and it should not be used for tanking because it has zero benefit and it has lots of drawbacks which are simply not worth it. So why do we need to be a vampire tank in Blackwood? Well, it's purely down to one boss in one trial, and in reality you might think it's not worth it for one boss fight, but it is pretty much essential to become a vampire unless you want a really hard time in Rockgrove hard mode. And if you're kind of a newer tank as well, less experienced tank, just in regular vet Rockgrove as well, it is going to be pretty important. So the second boss in Rockgrove is the problem here, and when it gets to 90% health it will do an attack that looks similar to the Necromancer Scythe skill, and when you hit by that it applies a dot to you. On the PTS it was possible to dodge the Scythe attack that applies the dot, but like in between the PTS update and Blackwood going live, they removed the ability to roll dodge the attack. So even if you roll dodge it now, it still applies the dot, even if you don't get hit by the attack. You can't dodge roll it anymore. In doing this, by removing the ability to roll dodge that particular attack, the devs have completely pigeonholed tanks into becoming vampires. Because you're going to have an almost impossible time clearing this fight on hard mode as a non-vampire. So the attack we're looking at is the Sickle Strike. Now this applies a dot called Death Touch. The Death Touch can also be gained by being the furthest person away or getting hit by the little Death Touch AoEs on the ground. So there's little, when somebody gets the Death Touch, they have it for like 9 or 10 seconds. Once that ends, you explode and you get 2 AoEs that go along the floor and move around the room. If you also get hit by them, you can also gain Death Touch by standing inside those. Now this dot on a tank ticks for about 10k a second on veteran and 20k a second on hard mode, or thereabouts. It appears to scale with your max health, so the more health you have, the bigger the dot is going to be. And you may get slightly different numbers than what I've just mentioned, because it will depend on your setup and how much your max health is and all that kind of stuff. Now, it is possible to survive the Death Touch, but the big problem is the fact that it lasts for a very long time. So 9 to 10 seconds, and you only get about a 5 to 8 second gap in between each one. So in between each Sickle Strike, when the dot gets reapplied again from that 90%, you've got that 10 to 20k dot on you for 70+% of the fight. So 70 to 80% of the fight, you're going to have this dot on your character. So this is a huge problem. This is causing a lot of strain on your healer if they're having to heal you. It's causing a lot of strain on yourself to heal yourself. So being a vampire, in reality, is the only way to comfortably deal with this. So I've tested all kinds of different self-healing and damage mitigation options, including various gear options, also using things like the Juggernaut CP and having a healer guard me, all that kind of stuff. But they don't do enough to make this dot bearable and manageable for both the tank and the healer. The only way to make this sustainable was by becoming a vampire and using the skill Blood Mist, which is a morph that causes you to do damage and it heals you. So Blood Mist looks like this. So when we cast Blood Mist, it uses up, it stays there until we run out of magicka. So we turn into Blood Mist. And this will damage enemies and healers while we're inside this. And then once our magicka runs out, boom, we come out. So dissolve into a bloody mist, reducing your damage taken by 75% for as long as you maintain the channel. While in this form, you deal 775 magicka damage every 1 second to enemies around you and heal for the damage caused. Entering this form removes and grants immunity to all disabling effects and mobilization effects, but you cannot be healed by any other ability and your recovery stats are disabled. It's the only real way that we can deal with this problem right at the moment. So Blood Mist is not only vital for the main tank, but also the off tank. So both tanks need it in hard mode, because the abominations also apply a huge bleed, so both tanks will be taking crazy amounts of damage without Blood Mist. That was also a dodgeable attack on the PTS, and in between going to live, they also removed the ability to dodge roll the attacks from the abomination as well. For progression groups and progression runs of Rockgrove, I think it's worth using. Blood Mist, because the more inexperienced the tank is, even on non-hard mode, the more of a problem that these damage over times are. So if you're going into Rockgrove as a tank, even if it's on non-hard mode, I would be prepared to have Blood Mist, because it might be the only way you can survive dealing with the various dots and bleeds and things that we've got inside Rockgrove Trial. Now, I am really against this type of approach where the devs remove the option to play either using Vampire or by dodge rolling the attacks. It's not like everybody was going to be able to dodge roll the attacks. It was going to be something that maybe more experienced players would be able to do, because it requires really quick reactions to be able to avoid those attacks. Like, those attacks happen really quickly. There's no kind of signal that they're going to happen. So it was going to require a certain skill level to be able to roll dodge the attacks. It wasn't going to be like everybody could just roll dodge them unless you were permanently dodge rolling. And now I feel kind of irritated that we don't have the choice. We don't have a choice of how we play these mechanics. We're forced, we're pigeonholed into being a vampire. And I really personally don't want to be a vampire. I hate the vampire gameplay. They provide nothing for a tank. I don't like the increased cost to my skills, especially because it's a detriment to the Imperial race. I chose to be an Imperial race because of the reduced cost of abilities, for that to only then be negated because I need to become a vampire for one single boss fight. Using this strategy as well as a vampire, where you use the misform, also means that you are dragging out the length of the fights, because if both tanks are in misform, you basically have no uptimes of any buffs or debuffs. So this ends up being a really long fight where the tanks do almost nothing. You just stand there in misform doing nothing. When you come out of misform, you recapture your taunt, you balance to get your magicka back, and then you're back into misform again. So that is just like the rotation of that fight. Now, some people might say just don't do the trial or find a way to heal yourself or keep yourself alive. And while I don't want to be a vampire, I still want to be part of my various teams, and I still want to be able to do a good job. And without vampire, I would be holding my group back and making everyone's life more difficult, so it's just not an option. As for finding a way to stay alive, it's something I've been working on over the past few weeks to avoid becoming a vampire. I really don't want to be a vampire. I didn't want to become a vampire. I don't like being a vampire. And there really is no other way to replicate how useful of a skill Blood Mist is in this environment. So that's all for this video, everyone. If you are a newer tank going into Vet Rockgrove, or an experienced tank going into hard mode, make sure you have Vampire Stage 1 and you've got your Blood Mist skill ready, because trust me, you are going to need it. I'll have more information about Rockgrove along with more updated tank builds and guides for tanking as well, going up on the tankclub.com website over the next few days. So keep your eye out for that, guys. Good luck with the trial. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.